Hi, I'm Alicia.
And I'm Robin, and you're listening to Bowel Moments,
the podcast sharing real talk about the realities of IBD. Served on the rocks. This week, we talked to Matthew Kasabian. We talked to Matt about the isolation he felt and how he used that to find ways to get well. We talked to him about the holistic diet program that he tried. We talked to him about his J-pouch surgery and how the ostomy portion gave him his life back. We talked to him about body image and working out and job hunting while also going through surgery. And we talked to him about how he stays so incredibly positive. Cheers.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Robin.
Hey guys, this is Alicia, and we are delighted to be joined by Matt Kasabian. Matt, welcome to the show. You are a longtime listener, first-time caller, so I'm glad you were able to join us today because you have a very interesting story, and I'm excited to hear more about it. But of course, we start out by asking you, what are you drinking?
So I am drinking a High Noon.
Oh.
And I'm drinking ranch water. Both.
Look at you. Two-fisting it. I love it.
So I was going to do a High Noon and gin and tonic because I love gin and tonics. But after listening to the episode with Stacy, I was like, and she was drinking ranch water. And I've heard so much about ranch water this summer. I had to get some. I was like, all right, light bulb went off. Got to go to the store. And I went this morning and got High Noons and ranch water.
I'm here for this kind of energy. Is this the first time we've had somebody double fisting on the show?
Yes.
I'm super excited about this.
I feel like the bar has been set by Matt right now. Yeah. Like, come on, guests.
Yeah. My friends and I love High Noon. I had a short house with my friends this summer after all my surgeries were done, and all we drank was High Noon, basically. Like,
I've never had a High Noon. What is it?
Oh, please get it. It's a vodka soda, and there's different flavors like pineapple, watermelon. They had different packs this summer, like a tropical pack and a pool pack with like pear flavors. But they're delicious. They're so good. I even got a High Noon button down. Like
you were committed. I'm committed.
I'm committed to the bit, basically. I'm committed to it. It's so good.
That's really funny. Well, Robin, what are you drinking?
I had to empty my fridge and freezer to prepare for a hurricane this week. So all I have left is cider. So that's what I'm drinking. My Old Faithful. What about you, Alicia?
I do love that was what was left in your fridge, though. You're like, clean out all the perishables, but leave the cider just in case.
Look, I'm an old school hurricane person, growed up on the Gulf Coast. So you have to have alcohol for a good hurricane party.
Yeah. That is one thing I did appreciate about like living in a place with hurricanes is like, you get a hurricane, all the power goes out, and like you just have a big giant grill cook off, like and neighbors roll out their grills and everybody eats like steaks and drinks kind of semi-warm alcohol. It was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Community building.
That's right.
It's nothing like.
What about you?
More.
I am drinking a tequila sunrise.
Ooh,
that's pretty. I think I needed more grenadine, but yeah, I'm very excited for it. So I haven't even taken my first drink because I was like, I'm going to savor.
I have tequila sunrise on the list for our Monday libations.
Look at how pretty it is. Yeah, I'm excited for it. And it's fresh squeezed orange juice as well. So it's like, I went high class on this one. Again, Matt, welcome to the show. Cheers. Double fisted cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Here we go. The Noons. Cheers, guys. Love it.
Now, next question is always tell us about your IBD story. What brought you to our community?
So it all started the end of my senior year of college. It was April 2018. And it was like a real high point in my life where I got into grad school. I was graduating college. It was the end of senior year. You're going out with your friends. I had a girlfriend at the time, and it really felt like I kind of jinxed myself. Nothing could go wrong. And it was a really happy moment in my life. And all of a sudden I started to see some symptoms of UC, but I didn't know at the time. And I was like, all right, what's going on here? Like this isn't normal, going to the bathroom, and I kind of put it off to the side, and I went to it was like the PA at the college I went to at Marist, and they said, oh, it's just like a little fissure, like anal fissure, like you'll be fine. So I kind of put off to the side. It never went away over that summer. It would be here and there. And then September came, and September, I remember very specifically, I had a Caesar salad, and all of a sudden I started getting these really bad stomach issues where I'd be running to the bathroom. And it turns out that's when there was an E. coli outbreak in romaine lettuce that time in New Jersey. So and that's when it kind of like set everything off. And I thought I had E. coli, but then it kind of turned into more symptoms. Like you're running to the bathroom. I didn't have any control over it. I had a lot of blood, and it came to October where I was going like 6 times a day. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling awful. I'm like really tired a lot. I got to go see a gastro about this. So come to November, I finally have a colonoscopy. He tells me I have colitis, but he doesn't know what's causing it. After the colonoscopy, 2 days before Thanksgiving, he tells me after the colonoscopy, he says, your whole colon is very inflamed. And he's like, this is ulcerative colitis. You have an autoimmune disease. And I was still coming off the anesthesia, so it was all new to me. I'm like, what? What do you mean ulcerative colitis? And granted, this was a gastro that wasn't specialized in inflammatory bowel disease. And he said, but you're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. We're going to put you on a pill called mesalamine. It's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to start working. I'm like, 6 to 8 weeks? I'm like, what? And at this point, from October on, I stopped like seeing my friends. I started to cut back in my quality of life because I couldn't really do much. My friends would ask me to go out for like Halloween or go to a bar. And I said I couldn't go because I cannot control going to the bathroom. If I had to go to the bathroom, I'd be right there. And I said to him, I was like, okay, but what could this lead to? And he said, this could lead to cancer. And hearing that before 2 days for Thanksgiving was not what I wanted to hear. And he's like, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm just shocked because you look so healthy for someone with that severe of a colon. And I'm like, oh, it's nice to hear. Okay. So I went on the mesalamine, wasn't feeling anything. I went to another doctor and he was kind of slow going with my care. He put me on Uceris. I was still kind of okay, but still not seeing my friends. Then comes really January. I dropped from 145 pounds to about 135. And I went to more of a specialist in IBD, and he's telling me I should cut out lactose. And then from January, February, still nothing has changed. I dropped another 5 pounds. And this is where like my clothes aren't fitting on me anymore. I'm still not seeing my friends. And it's really affected me more and more, where at this point, I'm on 4 different medications: mesalamine, a pill form, then Uceris, a steroid. I was on the enema, and then I was on a suppository, and nothing was working. And then they put me on prednisone, which is a stronger steroid, and it still helped with a couple of symptoms and not much at all. And I was tired because physically and emotionally, because I would be going to grad school and I'd be commuting to the city and back home, and I would walk from my hill where I'd be dropped off from the city, and I have to run to my house just to make it to the bathroom. And I was like, I'm tired of living this life. The doctors aren't helping me. No one's understanding me. And it's a very slow going process. And this has gone for too long. So I would go online, and I saw people online on YouTube that actually heals their colitis or Crohn's diseases through a holistic diet. I'm like, oh my God. And these people were worse off than I was. Like someone was like 90 pounds, someone was 100 pounds. Then they went to 160 pounds. I'm like, if they could do it through that, maybe I can too. And by the end of February, I decided to go on this holistic diet through a holistic program that specializes in Crohn's and colitis. And it was a harder time in my life because I was getting worse in the 120s, and I had to give up an internship at the United Nations on my birthday because I was too sick to do it. And it crushed me. And I was like, I need to start taking some action in my life. I can't just I can't just listen to doctors. I need to try another avenue. Right after I started, I went to the hospital, the ER, for kidney stones. I was having kidney stone pain. It was so bad. And after I came back home, I ended up getting C. diff, which was not fun. And it's a bacterial infection that is more common in people with IBD, and you just start going to the bathroom more often because of there's low good bacteria in your colon. So I was going 20 plus times a day, and it was awful. That's when I was very secluded to my house, and I couldn't do anything. All I did was sit in my room, watch movies, TV shows, or video games. That was it. And I just run to the bathroom. I had to stop working. I was just working as an administrative assistant at the time. And for a whole month, you're just running to the bathroom from March to April while I'm on this holistic diet. And this holistic diet is very, very strict. You have very different regimens throughout the day. In the morning, you have like a probiotic regimen, and then where you have to like combine different types of probiotics together. Then you have a shake, which like contains like 1 to 3 bananas, blueberries, and all these different types of herbs like frankincense, marshmallow root powder. Definitely delicious stuff. Definitely something you want. And then like a pure paleo like protein. And then around like the afternoon, you would have like just bland ground meat, a veggie, and that was it. Or like a potato. And it was very, very bland. You couldn't like really add any spices to it. And then you had like your supplements, like a whole list of supplements, like B12 or like a very strong vitamin A, vitamin D, digestimes, an anti-pathogen protocol, and then another shake at night. That happened to me for like 3 months. And it started to actually work. As gross as it was and as tough it was at times, like I was disciplined because I was like, I want to get better. I want to go out with my friends. I want to be with my girlfriends. I was disciplined for it. I got better. I started to gain weight from 110 pounds. I dropped to. Started to gain the weight back, started to feel better. But then in May, I got C. diff again, reversed back, trying to go on this holistic diet again. Nothing was working. And then I dropped to 101 pounds by June. This was a really tough call in my life because the coaches were like thinking it was like my fault. Like I wasn't trying hard enough. And I was telling them I'm doing everything I can. What are you saying? And they were telling me to go on an amino acid, like wink, wink. We're not supposed to tell you this, but get this amino acid online and inject yourself with it. And at that point, I was like, I'm done with you. And I went to a teaching hospital in the city. And this is where I got great care. And I'll never forget what my doctor said to me. You're in the driver's seat. You take control of IBD. You make your decisions. And that's when I felt very empowered. And I said to myself, I need to put myself first. I need to do what is necessary for myself to get better. So I started doing that. And unfortunately, around this time in June, my girlfriend and I broke up, which it happens, and I started to focus on myself. I went on Remicade at the end of June, still 101 to 103 pounds. Immediately got better. My hair was falling out and, unfortunately beforehand. And at this point in my life, it was very, very tough because when someone in your 20s, you're supposed to be having fun, going out, seeing friends. And I would see my friends on Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook, living life to the fullest. And I just look up and I'd be sitting in my room and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even walk up and down the stairs. I had to take a breath just to stop, and to stand in the shower was so hard. And I would look at myself in the mirror and I couldn't even see me. I was just ribs, my bones, and I felt very unconfident, and it was scary because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So after I won the Remicade, I immediately got better. I started to gain my weight back. Working out was very important to me. So I was able to actually lift again, and I was put with a dietitian. I kind of took that discipline I had with holistic diet and put it into working out. And I was motivated, telling myself, you know what? I'm going to become in the best shape of my life. I'm going to get everything back I lost, and I'm going to start my life again. So I started to do that. I'll implement all those good things, put myself first, do what was best for me, focus on myself. And I was 129 pounds, eating well, working out. And I had a celebration party with my friends at the end of August saying like, you're doing well. Everything's going well. Immediately got into a flare that day. Unfortunately, that day, the Remicade stopped working. And within a month, I went to the ER 3 times to calm myself down, and nothing was like, there was no good action being taken on it, unfortunately. And the 3rd time I went to the teaching hospital, I basically wasn't coming out until like we solved the problem. And this was about the end of September. And at this point, the IBD director of the teaching hospital happened to be at the hospital. He's usually not at this hospital very often. And he took over my case. He came into my room and he said, you need to have your colon removed. And I said, what? And he's like, you need to have it removed. And I thought I just needed more Remicade because the doctor said that beforehand I needed more Remicade and you'd just be fine. He's like, it needs to come out. Remicades not working. Prednisone's not working. We're throwing everything at you and nothing is going as it seems. And my whole world kind of came crashing down because I thought having an ostomy at the time was awful. Like I was scared because first thing that pops into my mind, I'm never going to get a girlfriend, never going to find love. Oh my God, this is the end. And then nothing was ever going to be the same again. And I was scared for that. And I remember at the time, the nurse, trying to ask me for like my will. At the same time, the IBD doctors, next to me. And I'm like, can we please just do this later? I'm just trying to process a lot. And I met with the surgeon next day and I kind of accepted the fact that, okay, maybe this really is the best for me because I'll get my life back. I can eat what I want because I love eating. I don't have to have a slippery elm shake anymore and everything. Like we'll be okay. We'll be all right. I started to see the positive. And then, after talking to the surgeon, it was like the next day we're having the surgery. Like it was a very quick turnaround. I said to him, all right, let's do it. And then he said, all right, when do you want to have it? And I said, when can we have the surgery? He said, we could have it tomorrow. I'm like, tomorrow? Like, oh my God. And then he was explaining to me how I would eventually have a J pouch, which would be to remove the ostomy and to reverse it and to have my small intestine turned into like a mini colon. So that was in the plans too. But before my surgery, I met my ostomy nurse, Andrew. In comes this guy, dressed to the nines, like very positive force just coming into the room, bright smile. And he says to me, hi, my name is Andrew, and this is Christian. We're your ostomy nurses. And I'm like, what? That's a thing? Ostomy nurses? And he comes into the room. He draws the circle where my stoma, where the intestine and the outside of my body will be. And he says to me, you're going to get your life back. You're going to be able to gain weight again. You're going to do so well. We see patients do so well after this. And you're a young guy too. You're going to live life again. And I was like, oh my God, really? And he's like telling me all these positive things that are going to happen to me. And I was now excited to have an ostomy. And immediately when I had the surgery, pain went away, my urgency went away, and I felt so good. And he was right. And Andrew helped me teach me how to change my bag. And I even named my bag Alejandro with him. And because he has said to me like, patients name their bags. And I said, what about Alejandro? And he's like, I love that name. Love it. And I'll never forget that he told me that he wanted patients to learn how to master their ostomy so they can live their lives again, so they can push themselves forward and do what they want to do and to live life again, to have that second chance. And that stuck with me and it will always stick with me for the rest of my life because it was so powerful to me because I already saw how much it was affecting me. And I said, I'm able to see my friends again with this. And my friends were happening to have a housewarming in Hoboken, like 3 days later after I was getting out of the hospital. And I said to him, hey, like, can I go to Hoboken and go out? And he's like, you want to go to Boken, go live your life. It's like, go do it. And I said, all right. And I surprised all my friends at 113 pounds living my life. Did I drink? No, because I was still very tired from the surgery. But he gave me that confidence that I needed where I was going to be okay and that I was going to be able to find love again and I was going to be able to live again. And that's when I saw my friends again. I went out with them. I started to work out again. I was again putting myself first, focusing on my health. My hair was growing back again. And I saw all these positive things. I saw the positivity that an ostomy gave me. And I was so proud of it. And I would text him every now and then. And it was like a new me, a new version of me who was very grateful for what I had. And I had what I've lost, but what I've gained. And it gave me a new perspective on life. And come November, I had the next appointment with my surgeon who told me what the next surgery was for the J pouch. And he said I was going to have a different type of ostomy. And I asked him, I said, can Andrew teach me this? And no one said anything. And they brought in the head of the ostomy department to my room, the head nurse. And I spoke with her and she said, you're going to be fine. Don't worry. It's going to be a bigger surgery. It's 4 hours, but don't worry about a thing. We're a great surgeon. And I asked her again, I said, when I learned the new ostomy, can Andrew teach me? And she put her hands on my knees and she said, I'm so sorry I have to be the one to tell you this, but Andrew passed away. And I just went to immediate shock because he was such a young guy. He was only 27 years old. And I just zoned out for a solid 5 minutes trying to process it when my mom is talking to the nurse. And she said it was a sudden death and, it was a great loss for the department. I was crushed because this is the man that mentally gave me my life back. And he would never know how much he influenced me. He'll never know how much he gave me my life back. He'll never know what I look like now. Like I'm in the best shape of my life. Or at the time, like I was in such better shape compared to 110 pounds. He'll never see that. And that's when it kind of hit me more where I wanted to spread more awareness on Instagram at some point when I was ready. And he motivated me even more to work out, to be the best I can be, and to do what's best for myself. And then when I had the J-pouch surgery in December of 2019, I had many complications, so many where I was in the hospital 2 months later again. I was basically for a month throwing up constantly, having very high ostomy output. I couldn't keep water down. It was very hard to breathe. I had very, very painful heartburn where it was like lava in your chest. And I had all these different symptoms going on. I had kidney stones because I wasn't hydrated. And I was put back in the hospital for 3 weeks, like almost 3 weeks. And it turns out when you do the J-pouch surgery, they make another stoma higher along the chain in the small intestine. They made it too high so your small intestine can't absorb as much. So I couldn't absorb as much nutrition or food or water. So I was just in the hospital throwing up bile at that point because it was so bad. And I had an NG tube and I couldn't eat anything. And I was on TPN for a week. They did my takedown earlier within 2 months instead of 3 months. And then they sent me back home. And I was 105 pounds again and COVID hit. I was still having many issues where I was having like hot flashes, fevers, running to the bathroom, and I was not having normal bowel movements. They thought I had pouchitis. So they put me on an antibiotic and I feel great in April. But when they put me off the antibiotic, back to square one. And I went back to the doctor. I had an abscess. And then it turns out they did a pouchoscopy on me at that time to close up the abscess and to drain it. It turns out I had a fistula and they said I had Crohn's-like pouchitis. And then they said I had to go on Humira to calm it down. But I told myself, I was like, this doesn't sound right. This all started with the J-pouch surgery and had all these issues from it. Couldn't eat. I was in the hospital when I couldn't even drink water. Like this doesn't make sense. And around this time in May, I started to look at different doctors and I found Dr. Ramsey online at NYU Langone, whose specialty is redoing J-pouches. And he said in one of his studies, if you have issues within the first year, it most likely is a complication, a surgical complication. I had my appointment with him and he said to me, Matt, I'm going to tell you 2 things right now. You've been through hell, but you're going to have a great life and we're going to take great care of you. I've been to 6 different doctors. No, not one of those doctors said anything to me. So that's why I knew I was in the right hands. Basically, he took over my care and he said I had to do all the steps over again. I had to have an ostomy again, which I didn't care. I loved having an ostomy. I wanted Alejandro back with me. And then to have a redo J-pouch, but it would be more invasive. I have a bigger scar. And then to have the takedown again. He's like, it's going to be 4 to 5 hours, the J-pouch surgery. You're going to have a bigger scar. I'm like, are you kidding? I love scars. It's like, I love scars. Give me a scar. Like, I love them. They're awesome. Makes me feel like I went to like a battle or something, but I didn't. But he gave me an ostomy again in July 2020, immediately felt better. I believed in his words. I started to work out again, repeating the cycle, work out again. I started to eat foods that I loved again, but I needed a break because I went through so much in a short period of time. So I asked him to push back the surgery to the following year so I can live life a little bit more. And that's exactly what I did. I lived life with my friends. I went on vacation for the first time in July 2020 with my friends to the Outer Banks. In years, haven't gone on vacation. I was able to like go out to a bar and with my friends again. I was able to have my independence that I lost because my mom, when I was at 101 pounds before Remicade, she would be the one taking care of me. She would be the one to bring up my food. She was my nurse. I had no one else. And it was so amazing to have that independence back and to be able to live freely again. And that's what I did. I was able to be in my best friend's wedding. My best friends got married, the 2 of them. I was in their wedding. I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for NYU and having an ostomy and being confident with one. Then I had my redo J-pouch surgery, went well. And then come March, I had an MRI to see that everything went well before having the takedown. And I didn't know at the time, but it was an early suspicion of a disease in my liver called primary sclerosing cholangitis, which is another autoimmune disease of the liver, which shows that your bile ducts are inflamed. So I'm thinking, like, this is great. I got something else on my plate, but it is what it is. You can't do anything about it. And there's no medications for this disease. There's nothing to do for it. And you could have a liver transplant. But I kind of put it to the back of my mind and still kind of lived life, because I was like, you know what? I need to take a win here with my J pouch, and I need to really enjoy what I earned. I can't focus on that right now. Had my takedown in March of this year, haven't looked back since, and gained the weight that even more weight. I got into even better shape. And from that day forward, I've lived life to the fullest. I even work at NYU Langone now. That's given me my life back. And it turns out the PSC was a misdiagnosis, I just found out, which is amazing. So literally life couldn't be any more amazing. And here I am now, 3 days away, not only with a new job at NYU, not only with all my surgeries done, not only with a misdiagnosis, but now moving out of my house and independence. And honestly, because of IBD and putting myself first, I've gained so much. And that's really kind of my IBD story of what's happened to me.
That's a big fat cheers though, right there. Like,
yes. Cheers. Absolutely.
Cheers to success and to getting back to a place where you're excited about life and moving forward. Cause that's a pretty hard one journey for you along the way. But I love how positive you stayed throughout it. And even when it was really, really hard, I mean, that you were very, 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 very ill and you were still seeking that positivity. So talking to you is like just getting this like huge, powerful, like surge of energy towards me. And I love it. I love every minute of this.
I appreciate that.
You know, a ray of sunshine.
Yes.
Like honestly, like sunshine is coming at us from the screen.
I'm going to need you to talk to me every morning, give me a little pep talk, and then I'll start my day, because like, I'm like, yeah, bitch, let's get this. Like,
I'll be your life coach.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
I got your back. But you know, funny that you say the positivity, because that's something that I always tried to stay throughout my whole journey. Just look at the bright side. And one of my friends told me at the beginning of the summer a quote that not only has become one of my favorite quotes, but relates to my journey so much. And I take to heart. And it's, our attitude towards life determines life's attitude towards us. And that spoke such volumes to me, because throughout this whole journey, I've looked at the positive of IBD, not trying to ignore what, of course, happened to me that was terrible, like going to the hospital like 12 times, having all these tests, having misdiagnosis of PSC, going through all the pain and suffering, the weight loss. But I've also looked at the bright side of what I've gained from it. Like, I've gained this new perspective on life. I've gained this healthier lifestyle of lifting and working out and maintaining a balance physically that's helped me mentally too. And it's come with so many lessons along the way of being grateful for the little things too. You know, I was able to like drive a car right after having Remicade, and I couldn't even physically drive a car. I was able to walk up and down the stairs again and take a breath, or even do the chores. Like, doing the chores was like a workout at 101 pounds. Like, that's very hard to do, even just make your bed. And seeing that positivity and having that attitude about being grateful makes me so much more happier for what I have. And I honestly wouldn't have this perspective if it wasn't for IBD. So because of that attitude I had on life, I'm able to also not only help it in my own accord, but to others that have IBD as well, saying that it is hard right now for whomever I'm talking to at the moment. It's hard right now, but there is a silver lining to this that you're going to get to. You know, you're going to get to a point where you're able to do these things in your life that you want to do, to be able to like go out and be with your friends. I was talking to someone on the phone who went to college and the next day had to go back home because his ulcerative colitis flared so bad and had his colon removed, had to miss his first semester. So I told this person, even though you're going through such hardships, I want to let you know that there is a silver lining to this. And from what I've been through the worst of it, I've also seen the bright side. You're going through the worst of it also, but you're going to not only get your life back, but you're going to have a new perspective on life that's going to take you distance. in life that's going to take you to places and make you see things and appreciate things. And now this person is living life again, able to eat new foods and has a new perspective, which I'm very happy for. And that's something that's able to really help me and make me feel better about what I've been through. So it's just having about that attitude on life. I'm not going to have a negative attitude on life in which it's going to negatively impact me. So if I'm having a positive attitude, it'll take me further than I've ever thought before.
It's so incredibly valuable for you to share your perspective on that too, you know, because when people are scared and they're going through this process and they're considering surgery, it does, sometimes it's not even, doesn't even feel like a choice anymore. It's just, you have to do this. And so hearing from somebody who's had such a positive experience with it and was able to get so much of their life back, I think will really make a lot of people feel so much better about their decision and make it feel like more of a decision than instead of it just being put upon them. So I think that's so incredibly valuable that you bring that perspective to people, especially, I hate to say this, but young men. Like, I feel like young men are just really like, let's bottle our shit up and like not talk about it. And so I think, you know, getting to talk to another young man who's getting out there and living his life and partying with his friends on the shore and like dating again and doing all these things that feel out of reach is just so valuable. And again, this is, you know, Robin and I were telling you this before the show, like, this is why we wanted to do the show, is we want to highlight these stories of people like you who are getting out there and living their lives to the absolute flippin' fullest, you know, because that's what can happen, you know. Yes. It can happen.
Yeah, because, you know, that's the important thing, especially on highlighting these moments in our lives, because I thought my life was going to be impacted to such a point where I wasn't going to be able to with an ostomy, because I thought I was going to be looked at differently, because I was already looked at so differently when I was 101 pounds. Like, I would go into the doctor's office and people would just stare at me, or CVS, and it didn't make me feel insecure in a way where I didn't want to do those things, but it made me more motivated to like getting back into a healthy, not only mindset, but just physically just stronger, so people can look at me more without having this type of perspective that I'm not weak. And I didn't like how people looked at me like that. And that's how some people unfortunately looked at me. But that's like one of the biggest reasons why I worked out. It's to push myself forward to not only get to a point where people didn't look at me as if I was, you know, weaker in a sense or was sickly, but to show others that there is another side to IBD and there's a healthier side. And also with living with an ostomy too, spreading awareness, living with an ostomy. Like, I was able to, you know, do all these things with my friends and everything and live life and like go out, party with friends. And that is something that is so valuable. And to like, you know, go on dates as well. Like, that's something that is in reach. It is all. And even with an ostomy, like, it is possible. Like, that mindset has left my mind where I am honestly more confident because I'm able to really truly be me. And if someone doesn't want to be with me in that case, then goodbye. There's the door. Goodbye. And it makes me just, you know, I've been more confident after what I've been through than I had before having IBD personally.
I am going to take you back to something that you said earlier when you were sharing your story about the program that you were on with the shakes and the supplements and stuff. So we've had a couple of RDs on the show that specialize in IBD, and we really encourage people to work with an RD that specializes in IBD. Now, this program that you were on, was it like through an RD, holistic, naturopath? Like, because I hear you say that, and the first thing I think is, oh my gosh, did he tell his doctor? And why didn't his doctor stop him if he did tell his doctor? You know, like, that was like so many red flags, like it's a Mardi Gras parade.
Yeah. So they were holistic certified. They had like the certification from this holistic school that they went to. And I did tell my doctor, and he was on board with it because he was saying that, like, you know, whatever you want to do, that's fine. But I'm also going to give you my advice as well. And this was before I went to the teaching school I went to before. But the thing is, like, it was almost if like they had this perspective, it was like it was their way or it was the wrong way, which I didn't like. You know, I think that personally, you need the medical expertise. That's like the number one thing when it comes to like any illness or any disease. You need that medical expertise. It just can't be holistic, because it can't be like, oh, the slippery elm herbs are going to cure you of your ulcerative colitis. Like, no, that's not. No, it's like, come on, dude. Like, you can't. Come on. And that's where I lost kind of faith in that side. It just doesn't work for everybody. It might work for some people, and I'm very happy for those people, but for others, it's not the route where everyone has to take. And this is where I was more talking about I had to put myself first, because at one point it just wasn't working. And I was kind of like listening to what the other experts were telling me what to do, and I wasn't making my own decisions. I had to make my own decisions. And one of those decisions was to cut out the holistic program because it just wasn't working. I'd be taking these shakes at 103 pounds and I wasn't getting better. Sometimes I would throw them up because I was so sick and I was having them all the time and they were not great tasting.
When I hear you say experts, I want to throw air quotes in there because I just I don't want to shame anyone on this show, but please, 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 for our listeners who are patients, if you are going to work with an quote unquote expert, make sure that their credentials are legitimate, and also maybe, make sure your doctor knows and your RD knows, and like other qualified, highly trained medical professionals know. So I know that you said your doctor knew, but I just feel like, gosh, you got down to such a low weight and my mom heart hurts. I can just picture you. You sent us photographs. I see you at that weight, and the mom in me wants to rip heads off.
You should have seen my mom. Like I 100%, 1000% on board with you, because the doctor I was with at the time was very more laid back. He wasn't aggressive. And when I went over to the teaching school, they were very different. They knew their stuff because they were IBD specialists. They knew the game. They knew everything very well. So he immediately told me not only is Remicade the way that it's going to help you, but you need to put yourself in the driver's seat. And that's what gave me more of the confidence and the empowerment to do what I need to do, not only in my medical route, but just my personal life too. And that was a very, very difficult time, because at the time I was kind of scared of what Remicade could do, because it could suppress your immune system. It does suppress your immune system. Would it work? Would it not work? I don't know. But I was ready to take that chance because of looking at the data, talking to my doctor about it, him giving me confidence that it was most likely going to work. And it really is about finding the right team. Really finding that team is so important. And that's when I was very thankful to find the doctor that I did at the time, because that's when I immediately cut off the holistic people, because I was like, you're not helping me anymore. You're not doing what's best for me. It's more like you're trying to prove to me that your method works more than caring about my own health. And that's not something I need in my life right now. So that's when I decided to, do what was necessary, go on the Remicade. But I still had that drive to eat healthy, eat nutrient dense foods, but good food, not marshmallow root. I had actual healthy yogurt, or with strawberries in it, or having good chicken, a nice salad when I was ready for it. But it's working with the doctor, having that relationship and someone that is looking over your care and giving you the advice that's necessary, especially when you're at such a weight like I was. Because the doctor I was with before wasn't taking it very seriously, to be honest. And I wouldn't say necessary seriously. It was more, he wasn't proactive. Another team I was with was way more proactive. They were incredible.
It reminds me a little bit, Robin, of our conversation with Dr. Kanukin, because, she was commenting about how the way she works with her patients is, like you said, she's going to be aggressive with your disease when she needs to be aggressive with your disease, but she is entirely open to you coming to her and saying, I want to explore these other ways for me to live my life, be it supplements, be it marijuana, whatever it is, because she wants to be part of that decision with you. And so she's not going to say, don't do that thing. She's going to say, okay, but let's work together to make sure it's the right choice for you. And let's go into this educated. And so I think finding the doctor that's going to be that foil to you is always a really good thing to, maybe for you, it isn't somebody who's going to be super laid back about stuff, and having somebody who's going to say, no, you can't do that thing. Don't take that marshmallow route. That's not the right choice for you, instead. So I was really glad that Dr. Kanukin brought that out and said, hey, you're in the driver's seat, but your doctor's your partner and they need to be part of these decisions you're making. So you have talked a little bit about body image and like, how people perceive you and see you, especially at these varying weights. And you're right. It's really difficult to have people stare at you in any capacity, like whether you've got a booger on your face or whether you're like just so small that people are like, oh gosh, that guy's really sick. So one of the things that you sort of highlighted when you brought your story to us is really talking about like body image and what that feels like within this community. And so really refreshing to hear that come from a man. To be honest, I think a lot of women spend their lives striving for the perfect body image, but it's really refreshing to hear it from your perspective. And I'm curious, as you started putting your story out there on social media more and you started sharing sort of how far you've come in your journey from 101 pounds to where you're at now, why did you do that, number one? And what has been the response that you've gotten? What else have you seen on social media about this?
I like really smile when you say that, because recently, just the past week, I've had like 2 people message me. I've talked to 3 people in the past like 3 weeks, including the person I was talking about before, about IBD and about what I've been through. Someone messaged me on Instagram saying that they'd had their takedown surgery. And it was like really nice to see that I put out the pictures of what I look like now after the takedown, me at the beach. And this person just had their takedown and said, so nice to see another young man go through this and to see them like healthy, to seeing good. And that's really why I put it out there. One of the biggest reasons is to show others, like people, just anybody, that you can get in good shape after going through these surgeries. And even having an ostomy too, because I loved working out before having IBD. Like, did I eat? I ate well to a certain extent, but not as well as I eat now. Like, I eat very clean during the week, and then I'll cheat on the weekends. That's when I'll have like 2 burritos from Chipotle. Love Chipotle. But it was very tough to like look at myself in the mirror, because I didn't have like the energy to shave, and just seeing like my ribs and just seeing how skinny I was. Just, I wasn't looking at me. I was looking at like it was as if I was looking at the disease and just seeing it take over. And I just tell myself, this isn't who I am. This is who I am. This is just what the disease is, just like taking me over. And seeing what others look at me, and I'd even see like my friends, like the way that they looked at me too, of course, because like they felt bad for me. But to be honest, like I really didn't like that look, because I didn't like being looked at if I was like, I don't like being looked at if I was like almost weaker, because it didn't make me feel strong. And I wanted to show everybody, honestly, that I can be strong at the end of this and be in a really great sense of health and shape to conquer this disease. And Andrew became another motivating factor, because when I work out, or when I sometimes take these pictures, I think of him a lot, because I just wish that he could see this, because he was somebody that just inspired me so much with an ostomy. And to show others that I'm living life with an ostomy means a lot, because I've heard stories of people being ashamed of living with an ostomy, and it hurt, because you shouldn't hate living with an ostomy, because this is what gave you your life back. You could be stuck in a hospital bed. I mean, of course, yes, like, it's on your stomach and everything, and it's a bag of shit, of course. But the thing is that this is a life-saving surgery. You're able to go to the store because of this. You're able to go and work out. You can go to the beach because of it. And I remember going to the beach for the first time with an ostomy, and I wasn't scared. I was actually excited, because I had a bag cover for Alejandro basically saying it was a Gucci bag. And I just love showing, because I'm having fun with it. Like, that's my perspective on it. That's my attitude on it. And it helped cope with what I was going through. And it shows that like you can look great while living with an ostomy. And it just it made me feel confident. And I did have like minimal scars at the time, less than I had now. But then I had my takedown and I had my J-pouch surgery, and I'd be at the beach with my friends. I still showed off my scars. Like, my body's never going to be the same as it was before IBD, but that's okay with me, because I'm going to do things that make me more confident. And I want to look in a way that shows that I can be healthy. I can be healthier than I've ever been in my life. And I could show that I'm strong. I could show that I can inspire others to take off their shirts, to show off their ostomy, show off their scars, because that's what people should do. Not even with IBD or having other scars. It's embracing your body. It's embracing the scars. We only live with one body for the rest of our lives. We can't change that. Some people can't change having an ostomy for the rest of their lives. Some people can't change the scars from having surgeries. So what I do personally, I embrace it. I tell myself that I'm going to show it off. I don't care what anyone thinks. This is who I am. If people are disgusted by it, then screw off. I don't need you. I don't need that at all. I'm going to be surrounded by the people that are here for me, that believe in me, and that want to be where I'm at also. And that's what helps me get through it, because that's something that Andrew wanted his patients to get through. And so that's like a message I'm carrying forward for the rest of my life.
That's really, really lovely. And I love that you're sort of keeping Andrew's legacy alive with this one too, to say, I'm going to show people that this is such a positive thing that can happen and that you can get out there and live your life. One of the things too that Robin highlighted in what you shared with us is that you don't do things like, you're kind of like Robin in the sense, like you don't do things easily. You're going to do like 7 things at the same time. So in the midst of you doing some part of your surgery in here, she said you were also job hunting. So you were trying to find a new career while also doing all of these surgeries. Talk to us a little bit about that. And then out of curiosity, because this has come up in previous episodes, was there anything you had to disclose about your disease as you were going through any of these processes because of your surgeries?
Yes. So I was in grad school at the time when I was diagnosed. I was getting my master's in public administration, and I was working as a side job at Crunch Fitness, just like at front desk and as administrative assistant too. I would have to like take off shifts basically, and they still kept me on, of course, for like the administration job, but I would have to tell my boss like, I can't come in, I'm way too sick, and she would understand. But I would also be looking for internships at the same time, trying to see if I can obtain something on the side also, because my goal at the time was to work in government administration. That's what led me to getting an internship at the United Nations, and I was so excited for it. They basically told me, if you can do between this date and this date, we'll send you the contract right now. And that's when I had to tell them no, because I was way too sick. Like I was running to the bathroom and I couldn't control myself. The commute would have been 2 hours, and that was way too much for risk. That's a red flag right there. That's the danger zone. So that's when I asked like if I could like extend it to like another date when I was healthier, and they weren't flexible with me, unfortunately. They just said like, you have to apply again, which was unfortunate because it's something out of my control. It was a disease. So I tried to look for other internships, and honestly though, for me personally, with my IBD experience, it became more of a strength, because that's why I shifted towards healthcare. I wanted to work in healthcare after what I've been through. And I told other job potentials my story and other recruiters, and that became a strong suit in my life, honestly, telling them what I've been through. Why did I want to work for them? Did some of the jobs work out that I applied to, or internships? No, but the one that did was NYU Langone. My friend that I went to college with said that the position was open on his team at NYU. I happened to apply, and I got in, and my bosses told me that one of the main reasons why we hired you was because of the story you told us in your interview. And it was because of saying that I told them that I went through health issues. I was in and out of the hospital, and NYU is the reason why that I got my life back. And that they said that was one of the main reasons why we hired you, because you were just genuine about that.
So it was love
really
that.
That strength. It's turning into my strength, honestly. It's turning a weakness into a strength. That's what it is. That's what I'm about. I like to see like a negative and turn into a positive, because it just works out more for me that way in my life.
I thank you so much for sharing that, because I feel like so many people are hesitant to share their experiences when they're job hunting. I mean, for valid reasons, right? Companies might not hire you because you have health issues. But I agree with you 100% in the sense that, like, my experience shows you that I can go through hell and still be kick-ass at my job. And personally, I know this doesn't apply to everybody, but personally, I feel like if you know my story and you don't want to hire me, good, because that means I don't want to work for you. So I appreciate that you also like shared your story, and it got you the perfect job. So not just a job, but the perfect job for you. And I feel like that has been the case for me also when I've shared about my IBD, when I've been job hunting. And I know people are still scared to share because they are worried that it will keep them from getting a job. And job hunting is stressful and sometimes desperate, right? There's all different reasons why people have to hunt for jobs. So all of your reasons for not sharing are just as valid as our reasons for sharing. But I encourage you to consider it next time you have to look for a job.
I agree with you, Robin. We can't let IBD define us in a way where it's going to affect us so much where we not only can't do the things that are set and limit us, but share it as well, because it shows us our drive, at least some of us, our drive and motivation into doing the things that we want to do. So I think it takes strength. It's not easy to do for some people, but I think if you find the strength to do it, like I was saying before, it could really take you to places in your life that you never thought you were going to go to. Like I just wanted to work in healthcare, and now I'm moving jobs, and now I'm going to Hoboken, where I've wanted to go for years, and it wouldn't be possible if I didn't share my story. That's what's helping me move forward. You got to put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, sometimes things are just meant to be, I think, and it sounds like that's the case for this one, but it is a decision. I mean, it's definitely a tough decision to make, whether you disclose or not disclose. And you're right. Unfortunately, sometimes there are consequences, Robin, and so you have to be judicious with your sharing your story at times. But I do think you're right. It highlights resilience, which I do love that word. It highlights strength. There's just a lot of positives that can go along with it. So I'm glad that you've reached that spot. Sadly, we've been talking for more than an hour already. Yes. Matt, last question for you. The last question we ask everybody: if you had one piece of advice for our IBD community, what would it be?
I've learned so much in the past 4 years that I never would have thought I would have learned in my life. But if I were to say one thing, it's to always put yourself first, no matter what as a patient you go through. You make the decisions. You are in the driver's seat. You need to do what's best for yourself. And this isn't even just as being a patient, but this applies to life so much, for whatever someone is going through in a stage of life that they might be going through that's hard, or even with like diseases like ours, and it has to do with like lifestyle, like eating right, or maybe drinking less, going out less, hitting the books more as a college student. It applies to everything, but really in IBD sense, you need to really do what's best for yourself, and you have to make decisions that will ultimately put you in a spot where you want to be and have a quality of life that will let you live life to the fullest, whether it be getting a new doctor as well. I think that that's something that people need to do, and to make those decisions in order to reach a state of life that you want to be in, and be proud of that too. And I say it as if it's easy, and it's not, but you have to take that step, because taking that step will just push you to a place that you're going to be happier, and you're going to be able to look back on, and you're going to say, wow, I was there, now I'm here, and I'm happy to be here. It's just having that positive attitude too with it. It's going to be something that's very hard to do, to make these decisions. Some people have to make very tough decisions, but I think if you make the correct, not only with your best judgment, no matter what, I believe that everyone will be able to be in a happier spot in life, where they're able to live life to the fullest. Because that's my motto, because that's what I want IBD patients to be. That's why I want them to be in life, living life to the fullest.
That's really great. I have one, but two potential follow-up questions for this, because I know once we share your picture on social media, we may get inquiries. So are you dating? You said you're dating. So do you have a girlfriend currently?
So I did have a girlfriend during my time when I did have IBD, but we broke up. I did go on one date for the first time in 3 years this summer, but I'm just open to dating, seeing who's out there for me. That's kind of like, I'm just a relationship guy. I just want to find love, that's just me, I there's people out there that just like to hook up, and I'm like, that's not me at all. I just want to find someone to be in a relationship with. That's it, I'm just trying to find the girl,
Well, thirsty Hoboken ladies in the mood for a relationship, hit us up.
Yeah, that's all. That's and that, with the girl I wanted to date on, she didn't care about my IBD. Like, I was open about it with her, and that was really nice of her, that she didn't care, and it made me very comfortable, to share it. So if I was able to share it with her, I'm able to share it with another girl in the future, which it makes me comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, I think girls that aren't interested in that are not worth your time anyway. So forget
them.
Oh
no, there's the door. Check. Give me the check.
Actually, hopefully you didn't even get that far, because
That's
there's
right.
still a check involved. I'd be like, you're paying for your own way, girl.
Oh yeah. I'm like, what's over the? I'm like, be like, oh, is that Ryan Reynolds? To run to the run out of the restroom.
You know what? I have to go to the bathroom, and then just leave. Leave.
Oh, I'm taking that.
You're welcome.
I'm putting it in my no clone still Rowan joke list.
Sounds good. Well, Matt, what an absolute pleasure and joy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, for Bowel Moments. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Hi, this is Matt. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends. No colon, still rolling.